Good afternoon. Phil Lindemann with your Krystal 93 News from Vail Summit Orthopedics and Neurosurgery. First Chair Friday was out lapping the Pally chair today at A-Basin, where just a dusting this morning was enough to soften up the steeps. Pally chair's a Colorado classic. And Eric from Arvada will never forget the time it led to a breakup in high school.
She had never skied before, and we took the main lift up the center all the way to the top and took like 4 hours to come down, and I was bored out of my mind. So we went up the poly lift and then came down the west wall, and she wasn't my girlfriend after that.
The ski industry is littered with memorable lifts, like the high alpine Palmas at Copper.
I do love watching my snowboarder friends wipe out on the T-bar at Copper.
Or like the old deep temerity chair at Aspen Highlands.
The old school one before it was bought out, and it was going from mid-mountain to the top. Had a hood over it, went up, and right before you got to the top, it crested over a cliff, dropped you down into Maroon Creek Bowl, and it was one of those, gut suckers.
Keeping the stoke high at Pally today was liftie Tiffany, who just got back from Japan.
I really like the pizza box at Hanazono in Japan. That brought you to some awesome, gnarly terrain that was always worth going back to.
Tiffany went home with a free pair of Oakleys on Free Shades Friday.
Oh, I'll be wearing these at the lift, don't worry.
Big thanks to Summit Vision Source in Frisco for the Oakleys. Town of Frisco is keeping a close eye on water as more full-time residents move in. Town Manager Tom Fisher.
Lawns, parks, residential type outdoor uses. That's one of the areas where most communities have an opportunity to conserve more.
In coming years, Town Council hopes to reach 50% full-time residents. Can the water system handle it?
We still have room to grow.
One of Frisco's wells has been offline since last summer for chemical contamination. Fisher says the system is working just fine without it. The town does hope to have it online soon, thanks to a federal program made to more effectively treat forever chemicals. Breck history is halfway through a $2 million preservation project at the Milne House on Harris Street, one of the last remaining log cabins in the historic district.
This is 1880-ish. So, it was before the railroad got here. It was still a pretty rough town. And, a lot of homes were like this. I mean, people were just trying to make it work here.
That was Larissa O'Neill with Breck History from inside the original 100-square-foot cabin.
There were 3 people actually who lived here, the McNamara family, the adults, and then their baby. And I think to myself, gosh, how did that work? 3 people in this tiny room.
Preservation means propping up old timber with new beams, adding a foundation, and removing the original insulation, newspaper, and crushed tin cans.
As you peel back the layers, it starts to tell the story about what was here, who the people were, how they built this house, how they lived here. And so we're trying to honor that history and tell that story of the people who were here while also making it a space that we can use.
Preservation is scheduled to finish sometime this coming fall. It reopens as a museum and Breck History office space. A reminder that Sunday is daylight savings time, adding 1 hour as we spring forward. Summit Fire reminds you to check your smoke and carbon monoxide detectors when you change your clocks. Avalanche danger will be changing rapidly with the incoming storm. Check the forecast tonight and again tomorrow at avalanche.state.co.us. In sports, the Nuggets play the Spurs tonight at 6. Mikaela Shiffrin claimed first today at World Cup Giant Slalom in Sweden, officially tying the record for most wins in history. She is going for the record tomorrow at slalom. Men are racing GS in Slovenia. And in local sports, the Breckenridge Vipers are on home ice tonight for Game 1 against the Sun Valley Suns. Puck drop is 7:30 at Stephen C. West Ice Arena. Phil Lindemann with your Krystal 93 News from Vail Summit Orthopedics and Neurosurgery. That was Larissa O'Neill with Breck History from inside the original 100-square-foot cabin.